What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a quick little intro for Into My Spider-Verse Volume 3, based off this setup I did here, live, with all my guys on Take Your Position Live. Now let's get to it. Okay guys, before I get into describing the individual poses, I'll just give you a brief intro into this setup and video. This is volume 3 in the series of Into My Spider-Verse, which is an ongoing series on my channel where I combine multiple poses and or scenes with all of the Spider-Verse figures I have in my collection. This one here today is something I did live on Take Your Position Live with my guys, Lael, the 1/6 scale man, Anthony from the Figure Posing channel, Dan from 6 Scale Reviews, Loco Lou, KG the Collector, and our guest moderator for today, Will Foxification. Now we do this show every week split between mine, Lael, and Anthony's channels, and this week it was on Lael's, and he set the theme to be Omega Godlike Poses. So that got me thinking it was my time to try again another Spider-Verse display, as I've done one previously once before on the show, except this time I'd gotten a couple more figures in and I thought it was time to up the ante and try something truly epic. So today, what you see before you is 9 6-scale figures, 1 1/4 scale figure plus the Molten Man base, Scorpion Tail accessory and base plus 2 dynamic flight poles based underneath the 1/4 scale Vulture base. This is the biggest display I've ever tried to put together, let alone live, and I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. Now, full disclosure, for this setup I did plan it out in my mind and wrote it out before giving it a go, but didn't actually physically try it until showtime, and to my surprise it all stayed in place and worked out as I envisioned it. Trying things like this are one of my favorite things to do when posing up my figures, and whilst I'm not going to leave it in this display long term, I have taken photos and made this video so I can look back and admire it along with some music. So now, let's take a look at each figure before finishing up and letting it go on the turntable to one of my favorite beats. And don't forget, if you like my content and want to support the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and you'll go in the draw to win yourself 2 custom capes from Unreal Toys once we reach 2.5K subscribers. Let's take a look at Iron Man first. This is the Iron Man Mark 47. I love this suit design and I included him as he is in Spider-Man Homecoming with the tech suit Spidey. I have him in a basic kneeling pose with both arms up as if he's about to blast or is blasting someone. From front on, having him here also blocks the view of the flight pole I'm using for the tech suit Spidey too, and I just love how these two look together. Then we have Tech Suit Spidey in midair behind Iron Man, swinging and aiming up about to launch a web to swing to the next object. I wanted to have these two guys close together to represent the film because I loved seeing them interact with each other. For the pose, I have him balancing on one of the flight poles with him sitting on the waist grabber opposed to it being around his waist as to not risk damaging the suit, which is my preferred display option when using waist grabbers if possible. Moving on to Stealth Suit Spidey, I have him as if he's swinging in to land on the rubble of the Molten Man base, about to shoot a web at him. In hindsight, I probably should have had him leaping away from the base. I think that would have played a bit better than having him coming in toward the Molten Man. But hey, you live and you learn. My initial thought was to have Spidey just out of grasp at the Molten Man's hand, reaching up and coming in to fight, as he is brave after all. Now we have the black and gold suit Spidey fighting with Venom, which I'm really happy with. One of the awesome things about Spider-Man figures is they are light, and I say this because I have Spidey holding onto the Vulture wing all by himself without a flight pole. I then have Venom down below, reaching up, trying to get to Spidey, who's shooting the unwanted variant back to his timeline with the Doctor Strange magic-infused gauntlet. I think these two guys play off each other really nicely color-wise, and having them both take up the real estate at the back of the display allowed me to create this fun scene. Plus, you can't see it here, but Venom and his weight holding onto the base is also helping keep things nice and sturdy. Moving on to Classic Suit Spidey's setup here, I have him interacting with Scorpion's tail, battling in midair, falling back, dodging an attack. I decided to go with this type of pose because visually, having him look like he's leaping back off the base, it adds width to the display and also tells a story between the accessory we are using. To make this possible, I had to stack his base underneath the 1/4 scale base to stop it from toppling over, and I only figured that out once I started trying to get them to balance. But in the end, it worked a treat. Here we have homemade suit Spidey battling one of Mysterio's drones. This pose is similar to one I have seen other people try, so I wanted to give it a go myself, as he can pull this type of look off easily. The challenge I had was getting the drone to stay there. The drone holder doesn't fit well on the 1/4 scale flight pole, but once I got it to balance, he held on long enough, luckily. Now, moving on to the upgraded suit Spidey versus Mysterio. We have him holding Mysterio up by the collar, in my own way, replicating that moment from the end of Far From Home when Spidey finally gets his hands on the pesky villain. As we move up from here, you can see he isn't really holding him, but when viewing it from a distance, you won't be able to see that. Then I have his other hand back there, lightly around the flight pole that's holding the drone and the homemade suit Spidey. Taking a look from this side, you can see I have Mysterio's helmet on the ground here, as I wanted to include it somehow. Originally I wanted to have Spidey holding it, but due to trying to build this all live, I opted to leave it and just move on after unsuccessfully being able to figure out in the moment how to make that happen. I love the story this pose tells, capturing a moment from one of my favourite MCU films. The way Mysterio tested Peter, I thought was a great lesson that he had to learn. And finally, the centerpiece, the big boy, my 1/4 scale tech suit Spidey standing atop this amazing diorama base that he comes with that has made many of my pose sessions possible. This isn't a crazy pose, yet something simple and elegant that shows how amazing this figure is. He truly is the main attraction in my Spider-Verse display. The quality and the detail of this figure is next level. Those of you that have him in hand know what I'm talking about. And that is all. Time to enjoy this display to some music. Let's go.